Good day, everyone. I am Angel Asaluta, and I am the first reporter of Group 1, and we will be discussing the lesson 1 entitled Creating Inclusive Culture. Now, in this module, it will focus on how the school must promote an environment that does not restrict the child's growth. And in this lesson, you will discover the different feature of inclusive education cultures. Now we will going to discuss three subtopics. First, we have least restricted environment, universal design for learning and education, and individualized education plan. Now, in this module, we will going to learn the different ways on how to fully support those learners with additional needs to access quality education. And now, as we face the diverse needs of our society, policymakers intend academically to address the learner's different needs. Now, there is a principle that welcomes and caters to all learning opportunities within the same school setting. Thus, this anchored the idea of learning with no boundaries. It just means that the child should learn or should learn in the school with no restriction, with no limits, or with no boundaries. There are three statements from different authors that states or that discuss how important it is to promote inclusivity inside the classroom or inside the school. Now, according to Judge 2003, he said that the school community must accept all learners and set aside their feebleness. And according to Hodgkinson 2011, inclusion is not only inclusive for learners with a disability but also for gender, sexual orientation, race, ethnicity, age, culture, and a social class. Then, according to Wood 2000, associate inclusion with a big church with firm foundations where society follows a similar doctrine of intolerance to difference. These three statements just define or just states that inclusivity should not only for one people or for one person, but inclusion means it is for all, it is for all, or it is for all students. You those opportunities should not be limited for only one person, but we need to provide same opportunities to all diverse learners. Individuals with Disabilities Education Act or IDEA creates a fundamental principles that suggests all students with disabilities should attend the school in their neighborhood and be integrated to the maximum extent possible with students without disabilities. This just means or this just clarifies that every child with a disabilities must receive their education alongside students without disabilities to the maximum extent appropriate. This supports the idea that students with disabilities must receive an appropriate education according to their needs. This just means that even though they have disabilities, it does not or it is not an hindrance for them to learn together with the regular students or to those students who have no or without disabilities. Despite of having a disability, it does not mean that they can be together or they can learn together with those students without disabilities. Now, the pyramid that you see in our PPT is it is a it is the continuum of services pyramid that it is a graphical model of individual services and programs that supports the various needs of all learners with additional needs. It always starts in the least restrictive environment, LRE, and moves across the continuum to meet the learner's needs. As students' needs change, services may move up and down the continuum. Now, the goal is always down. The continuum of services is fluid as a student's needs change. So can services and service delivery. Again, at the very bottom or the pyramid is always it always starts in the least restrictive environment. So it always starts with general education with no direct special education services or supports. Then the second one is the general education within class, direct special education services and other related services. And the third one is the pull out special education services and other related services for a small portion of the school day. And the fourth one is the special classes with mainstreaming opportunities in academic and non-academic classes as specified in the IEP or individualized education plan. And lastly, day schools, residential clusters, hospital schools, and homebound. Again, as students' needs change, services may move up and down the continuum, but the goal is always down. The, the goal is to provide those learners with disability a general education with no direct special education services or supports. Now, the IEP team plays a huge role in determining the proper placements of learners with additional needs. Placement must be individually determined based on the student's abilities and needs. Also, the degree of disruption of the education of other students, resulting in the inability to meet the unique needs of the learners with additional needs, are some placement considerations. The general education classroom is the first option to the team must consider. Also, however, we cannot deny the fact that students cannot be educated satisfactorily even when supplementary aids and supports are provided. The IEP team will review and consider the following. First, child's classroom performance, B, teacher input, C, classroom observations, and D, behavioral referral to decide on proper placement and support services intended for the child's unique needs. Now, the goal is always in order for the IAP team to know the placement of a child on what services or supports that a child with disability needs, they need to follow. They need to review and consider those following. And the first option or the IEP team always consider the general education classroom because again in the continuum of services pyramid, as you can see, the goal is always the general education classroom or the inclusive ed where we teachers can provide education to those learners with disabilities or to those learners with additional needs with together while we are also catering the needs of our students without disabilities by giving them equal access of education or equal access of opportunities to learn. Now, the LRE or least restricted environment is expected to provide an environment where individuals with disability live in a welcoming and inclusive atmosphere with people supporting and accepting them. That is one of the goals why least restricted environment should be implemented inside the classroom. Also, regular schools passes as implemented in Australia, New Zealand, and the US have been providing LRA to individuals with disabilities. This LRA should not end in the classroom or school but should also be extended to streets and other public areas, which need to be more accessible to individuals with disabilities. In this module, we should at the end of this module, or at the end of this lesson, we should also realize, or we should also appreciate the fact or reflect to the importance of providing inclusivity to those learners with, or to those individuals with disabilities. I do believe that inclusion should not only end inside the classroom or in the school. It should not only be implemented or be promoted solely inside the classroom or in the school, but inclusion or inclusivity should be extended or should also highlighted to those to the streets and public areas, because again, individuals with disabilities are not just individuals with disabilities, but they are also individuals, and they are also people are um that also have the rights to do things, or have do things, or to have same opportunities with those individuals without disabilities. We should put in our mind that inclusivity should not end only in the classroom or in school, but we should always promote it outside the classroom. We should always create an environment where all individuals with disability can live in a welcoming and inclusive atmosphere where people supporting and accepting them.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, ma'am. I am Daphne Hortby the Ariel, and I am the second reporter for Group 2. Now, my topic will be about universal design for learning. Universal design for learning, it is a framework for understanding how to create curricula that meet the needs of all learners and are flexible and reduce barriers in the learning process. Now, when we talk about universal design for learning, it is a teaching approach that aims to remove barriers to learning and also provide equal opportunities for all the students in order for them to succeed. Now, this idea is based on that it is built in for also to have accessibility in order for us to have a better retrofitting building to accommodate individual needs. Now, UDL, or Universal Design for Learning, can be applied across all learning levels and all subject areas. Now, this was designed to improve the learning experiences for all the students, including those with students with disabilities, and of course from those from diverse backgrounds, and also the mature or international students. Now we will discuss 5 strategies in incorporating UDL, or Universal Learning Design for Learning, in a classroom setting. Now these strategies were imposed rather by Rose and Mayer in 2002. The first one we have is the use of multiple strategies to present content. Now, this enhances the mode of instruction of a teacher. Offering multiple means of presentation helps us, no, teachers, future educators, to ensure that students who struggle in one area do not automatically fail or fall behind their peers, because we want to bridge the gap between our students and the content that or the discussion that we are trying to impose to them, then we could use multiple strategies to present that content. Like for example, if you're teaching mathematics to your students with the curriculum, then uh, you want to discuss the topic of unit on area and perimeter, you may know and you know that those students you are teaching um, will have um, many different kinds of um, techniques, no, in order for them to effectively study, while others would benefit from watching videos, and others would simply by reading textbook they could learn. Then you need to make that possible in order for them to learn. Once they get down and once they got the concept down, then that's where you impose another strategy of yours, where you would create a manipulative instruction where they could get their hands work with as a group or an individual ba, and then in order for them to solve real life problems, in order for them to really uh, make their hands on activity, because learning could be in any form, and by doing that we could make use of our students have that kind of experiential learning where they could um, learn through their experience. Now the second one, we have the use of various materials, presenting new concepts, use online resources, videos, and podcasts could be one of those materials that we could use. It is really true that although things have changed in our world, many classrooms, many teachers still use paper-based materials, what we call the pen and paper test, those kind of things, those what we call bitay max that that they use in order to discuss lesson is still present in today's generation. But I'm not against that. It's just that we're in a digital age right now, and digital content can increase many potentials in what we are trying to discuss to our students. The way that we could use text to text speech to read text out loud and link out to more detailed information on almost any topic imaginable. We could use the help of technology in order for us to really deliver a more comprehensive lesson, in order for our students to really and also fully understand what we are trying to imply. Now, the third one is provide cognitive support. Give students organizing clues and present background information for new concepts. Have you heard about how we could integrate the experience of our students and of course the learning that we want to impose to them, the lesson and then their experiences? Those kinds of things could be used as cognitive support to our students, no, by simply connecting those kinds of experiences and um the the lesson. Then we could provide cognitive supports to our students and also effective support, since they already experience that kind of thing. They already know how and what they felt during that kind of during that kind of situation. And by doing that, we are able to integrate not just cognitive but also affective domain in our students. Number 4 is teach a variety of learning styles. We could build movement into learning and give instructions both orally and in writing. Now, we don't want our students to just sit and listen and then the teacher, are the ones always teaching, talking in front. We don't want that. Instead of simply making them sit and listen to you all day, why don't we incorporate movement into their learning? Why don't we make them move? By that, we are able to uh, give justice to what we call now the new method of teaching. No, no, we don't want it to be a teacher-centered learning. We want it to be learner-centered learning. And by doing that, and in achieving that, we want our students to also give something that could do something that um, that could make them learn, that could really make them grasp the knowledge that they need to acquire. We all know that our students, even us, are unique in the way that we can learn, in the way that we want to learn as an individual. And some students really do learn by simply reading a textbook, by simply uh, watching videos, while others excels in other different uh, ways, in other different forms. But by determining those kinds of strengths and barriers that could hindrance us from really teaching our students, we could use those kinds of information by assessing them. What are the needs of our students really are? And by that, we could use and integrate variety of learning styles in order to really and fully bridge the gap between the students and of course the lesson that we are teaching. Now the fifth one, or the last one, is provide flexible opportunities for assessment. We could allow our students to demonstrate their learning in multiple ways. Now we really know that assessment could be in any form. We could assess our students in many different ways. One example for this is the what we call um, uh, the multiple choice test. Now, multiple choice test is a really, we know about what kind of method we should do in multiple tests to test the higher order thinking skills of our students, right? Now, how do we provide a more flexible opportunities for that kind of assessment? We could use Google Form. Yes. Since we are in a digital age right now, we could use an upgrade to standardize our multiple choice test by making it digital. It would help us to streamline grading as well. No, we are not just teaching our students to be a technologically inclined students, but also we could easily streamline grading. We could just open our laptops, um, then see what they got. By that, we are able to provide flexible opportunities for assessment. Now, as a teacher, we really do need universal design for learning in order for us to bridge the gap between our students and how they learn and how we want to teach them. By that, we could be an effective teacher in the future and in the making. That would be all. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. I am Kizea Olea, and I'm going to report about the Individualized Educational Plan, or what we call IEP. Now, IEP, it is a written document prepared for named students that specifies the learning goals to be achieved over a set period and the teaching strategies, resources, and supports necessary to achieve those goals, according to National Council for Special Education 2016. Now, this means that the IEP is a tool that focuses on clear, measurable learning goals for students over a set time frame. It specifies how teachers and support staff can work together using these strategies and resources to meet those goals. Now, according to Ontario Ministry of Education 2004, they define IEP as a written plan describing the particular education program and services required by a particular student based on a thorough assessment of the student's strengths and needs, that is, the strengths and needs that affect the student's ability to learn and to demonstrate learning. Now this means that the IEP is based on an in-depth assessment for a student's abilities and challenges. It serves as a guide for personalized education programs and the services required for the students to learn and demonstrate their learning effectively. Now, an overall, an educational individualized educational plan or IEP is a formal written document designed to support students with special education needs. It sets specific learning goals for the students and outlines the teaching strategies, resources, and accommodation required to achieve those goals. The purpose of the IEP or educational plan is to ensure that the students ed- receives an education tailored to their strengths and needs. For example, in educational plan with the students with hearing impairment in grade 4. Now, the learning goals that should be meet is to enhance the listening and comprehension skills by using uh, the access of devices and visual aids. And their goal is to also develop confidence in participating in class discussion with appropriate accommodation and also to improve the vocabulary and language skills to meet grade level expectation. Now, this is what should the teacher do for their strategies, for the teacher's teaching strategies. They will use sign language or gestures alongside verbal instructions when appropriate, I mean, and also to incorporate visual aids such as charts, diagrams, and captions into teaching materials to better understand the lesson and to for students to better grasp the lesson, and also to ensure face-to-face communication with clear articulation for lip reading when speaking to the students with hearing impairment. Now, the supports and resources, uh, it is access to a hearing aid or something that FM system to amplify the teacher's voice, a speech and language therapist to work on language development once a week, and also like a real-time transcription or captioning software during the lectures. And that is all about the individualized educational plan. Now let's move on to the rules of a special education teacher and regular education teacher in inclusive education. Let us first discuss the special education teacher. Now, special education teachers plays a key role in supporting students with disabilities. They develop, implement, and evaluate IEPs, ensuring they align with the student's specific needs. Their responsibilities include collaborating with regular education teachers, adapting teaching strategies, providing direct instruction, and monitoring the student's progress. They also act as advocates for students in accessing the resources and support they need. Now, the regular education teacher in inclusive education, regular education teachers ensures that students with special needs are integrated into the general classroom. They implement IEP's recommendations also while maintaining a supportive learning environment for all students. Now, the collaboration with the special education teachers is very crucial as they need guidance to adapt lesson plans, assessments, and classroom management strategies to include the students. By working together, education teachers and regular education teachers can create an inclusive learning environment where all students can thrive and learn from their best. This collaboration ensures that students with special needs can participate in classroom and meet the educational goals, their educational goals and needs. And that would be all for my report. Thank you.
Good day everyone. Today I will discuss to you the special education teacher. When we say special education teacher, this is a teacher who supports students with disabilities and accessing the general education curriculum by working collaboratively with a theme-designed individual education plans or the IEPs. They actively implementing the plans by providing individualized instruction and monitoring the learning progress of the students or the learners. Special education teachers have responsibility and duties. The first one is the curriculum development. Special education teachers are responsible for developing and adapting curriculum to meet the needs of students with disabilities. This involves modifying lesson plans, instructional materials, and also the teaching methods to align with each student's individualized education program or the IEP. The goal of this to ensure that the students can access the general curriculum while addressing their unique learning goals and also their needs. The second one is the parent conference. The primary goal of the parent conference is to build a partnership with parents to ensure the students receives the best possible education and support. The next one is the involvement of annual review meeting held by the IEP committee to discuss the progress of each child with disability and to plan the following year's individual education plan. These special education teachers actively participate in annual IEP meetings organized by the IEP committee. This meeting involves a discussing the progress of the learners or the students with disabilities, planning and also building partnerships. The next one is removing architectural barriers wherever possible so that children with disabilities move independently. These are the obstacles in buildings or surroundings that can hinder the access movements of individuals or the learners or students with disabilities. These barriers includes the example the narrow doorways, stairs, or the uneven surface. The next one is the involvement of triennial evaluation process. And every 3 years, a special education teachers are involved in the re-evaluation process. The purpose of this is reevaluation process is to assess continued eligibility, provide progress reports, and also make recommendations. The next one is the requirement here would be limited to progress reports and recommendations for the following year. Special education teachers play a pivotal role in evaluating and guiding each journeys towards achieving their educational goals. Monitoring the IEP modification and accommodation. As special education teachers ensure that the modification and accommodations outlined the IEP are implemented effectively. This includes the tracking implementation, adjusting strategies, and also the documentation. The last one is to work very closely with related service providers, primarily vocational and also the transitions specialists at the secondary level. At the secondary level, special education teachers work closely related service providers such as vocational specialists and also the transitional specialists.
Day everyone. Today, let me discuss to you what is inclusive education teacher. Now, first, let us define inclusive education. Inclusive education it is a philosophy that seeks to ensure that all children, regardless their abilities, have equal access to quality education with mainstream classrooms. Now, teachers play a vital role in fostering an inclusive learning environment ensuring that children with disabilities feel accepted, supportive, supported, and empowered to thrive. Now, there are some essential practices and responsibilities of an inclusive education teacher. First, accepting children with disabilities. Now, inclusive education begins with acceptance. Now, teachers should foster an environment where children with disabilities feel welcome and valued. Now, by both the teacher and peers are essential in building a sense of belonging and confidence. Next is developing positive attitudes between normal and disabled children. Now, building positive relationships between students with disabilities and their peers is crucial for inclusive education. Teachers must actively promote understanding, empathy, and collaboration to among the students. Next is to place the children in the classroom in proper places so that they feel comfortable and benefit from the classroom interaction. Proper setting arrangements are vital to ensure children with disabilities to feel comfortable, of course, and can effectively engage in classroom activities. Now, teachers should consider individual needs such as proximity to instructional resources. Next is removing architectural barriers wherever possible so that children with disabilities move independently. Now, to facilitate independent movement, schools must eliminate architectural barriers such as narrow doorways, stairs without ramps, and inaccessible restrooms. Teachers, in collaboration with schools administration, should advocate for necessary modification to the physical environment, ensuring that compliance with universal design principles. Next is involve children with disabilities in almost all the activities of the classroom. Inclusive education emphasizes the full involvement of children with disabilities in all classroom activities. Teachers must design the lessons that are accessible and adaptable, ensuring every child can participate, whether it's through hands on activities, group work, or technology assisted instruction. Next is making suitable adaptations in the curriculum transaction so that the children with disabilities learn according to their ability. So the curriculum must be flexible to accommodate diverse learning needs. Teachers should tailor lesson plans and instructional strategies based on students' abilities. For example, simplifying content for students with cognitive disabilities or incorporating sensory learning tools for children with sensory im- impairments can enhance learning outcomes. So next practices of inclusive education teacher is to prepare teaching aids or adapt teaching aids that will help children with disabilities learn. Teaching aids play a significant role in inclusive education. Teachers must develop or modify teaching materials to cater to the specific needs of the students with disabilities. Next is to collaborating with medical and sociological panels, social workers, parents, and special education teachers. An inclusive education teacher should collaborate with a range of stakeholders, including medical professionals, psychologists, social workers, parents, and special education teachers. This collaboration ensures a comprehensive understanding of each student needs and facilitates the provision of necessary resources and support. Next is the adaptation in evaluation for children with special needs. Now, assessment methods should be adapted to suit the abilities of children with special needs. Teachers should consider alternative formats such as oral exams, extended time, or practical demonstrations, ensuring evaluations accurately reflect the student's understanding and abilities. The last one is providing remedial instructions to the children who require it. Now, some children may require additional support to overcome learning barriers. Now, teachers should offer remedial instructions tailored to address specific difficulties, such as reading interventions for children with, with dyslexia or speech therapy exercises for those with speech impairments. Now, inclusive education teachers are the front of creating equitable learning environments. By implementing the practices above, they ensure that children with disabilities only access education but also actively participate and succeed. Now, that would be all for my report, and I hope you understand what is inclusive education, teacher.
Good morning, everyone. Now let's proceed to individualized education plan. Let's discuss first the gather information. Review the students' records. These involve examining past academic performance, test scores, attendance records, and any previous evaluations or diagnosis to understand the student's history and learning patterns. Next, we have the consult with parents, students, school staff, and other professionals. This collaborative approach ensures a holistic understanding of the student's needs. Parents provide insight into the student's home life and learning experiences, while teachers, counselors, and other specialists offer perspectives on their academic performance and behavior in school. The student's input, if age appropriate, is crucial for their involvement and buy-in to the IEP. Next, we have the gather information through observation of the students. Direct observation in the classroom and other settings provides valuable qualitative data on the student's learning style, behavior, and social interactions. These can reveal challenges or strengths not readily rather apparent from records. And lastly, consolidate and record information. All gathered information, both quantitative, such as test scores and grades, and qualitative, such as observations, parent input. It must be organized and documented to form a comprehensive picture of the student's strengths and needs. This forms the foundation for developing the IEP. Second, for the individualized educational plan, we have this set direction. First, establish collaborative approach or IEP team, the IEP team. This emphasizes the importance of teamwork. The IEP team, including parents, teachers, specialists, and the students as well, when appropriate, works together to create a unified plan, which is essentially or very useful for students. Second, we have the established roles and responsibilities. Clear roles for each team member ensures efficient collaboration and avoid duplication of effort. These could involve who gathers specific data, who drafts sections of the IEP, and etc. Next, we have the begin work on IEP. This is the actual start of drafting the IEP document. This stage involves outlining the student's needs and goals. Second, we have this indicate the student's areas of strength and areas of need on the IEP, which is the last thing of the setting the direction. This is a critical step. The IEP should clearly identify both the student's strengths to build upon and their areas of need to address with support. This balanced approach is essential for creating a successful IEP. And for the third one of individualized education plan, we have to develop the IEP as it relates to the student's special education program and services. First, we have the classified subjects or courses and alternative program areas. These involve determining the specific courses or students or subjects rather the student will take, potentially including alternative programs designed to meet their unique needs. Second, we have this records decision about program exemptions, course substitutions, and eligibility for a diploma or certificate. This section documents any modification to standard curriculum requirements, such as exemptions or substitutions, and outlines the pathway to graduation, diploma or certificate. Next, determine accommodations, record subjects or courses. This identifies specific adjustments or supports that will help the student access the curriculum, such as assistive technology, extended time on task, or preferential seating. It also records which subjects or courses these accommodations apply to. Next, we have this determine teaching strategies and assessment methods. This section specifies the teaching methods best suited to the student's learning style and the assessment methods used to measure their progress. Next, plan for documents required human resources. This identifies any specialized personnel needed to support the student, such as special education teachers, therapies, or aides. It also documents the allocation of these resources. Next, we have the record information about evaluation and reporting. This outlines the process of monitoring the student's progress and reporting it to the parents and the IEP team. Next, we have the record information about provincial assessments. This addresses how the students will participate in standardized testing, including any necessary accommodations. Next, we have develop a transition plan if required. For older students, this creates a plan for their transition to post-secondary education, vocational training, or independent living. Lastly, we have this record information about the IEP development phase. This section documents the entire process of IEP creation, including meeting dates, participants, and decisions made. In conclusion, the IEP development process is a collaborative effort that requires careful planning, information gathering, and ongoing monitoring. This goal is to create a personalized plan that addresses the students' unique needs and helps them reach their full potential. The IEP should be reviewed and updated regularly to ensure it remains relevant and effective. Thank you and goodbye.
Good day everyone, I am Angelo Espilaes and now we will be continue to discuss about the IEP or Individualized Educational Plan. The number one is implement the IEP. First, share the complete IEP to the student parents, teachers, and other professionals. If the student is 16 years of age or older, give a copy to the parents. It means that you need to share copies with the student if 16 plus, parents, teachers, and relevant professionals in order for them to ensure everyone understands their roles in implementing the plan. Second is implement IEP to the teachers and support staff in the classroom. Teachers and support staff apply accommodations, strategies, and services outlined in the IEP during daily lesson and activities in order, and also specialists provide a therapist or intervention as scheduled. Next is continue to evaluate the student development. It means that you need to track progress through through assessment, observations, and feedback to ensure to the student the student is meeting their goals or identifying their challenges. Next is modify the IEP needed, noting any modification to the objective expectations and accommodations, instructional methodologies, and so forth. It means that you need to adjust objectives, accommodations, or methods if progress stalls or needs change. Also, you need to update the IEP or individualized educational plan and involve stakeholders in decisions. And the last one is assess the students' progress and keep updates on their parents. It means that you need to regularly share progress updates through reports or meetings and work with parents to address concern or celebrate success. And now let's move on to the last IEP or Individualized Educational Plan, which is review and update the IEP. First, at the start of every reporting period, revise the wearing expectations. It means that you need to review the IEP at the start of each reporting period and adjust their goals or behavioral strategies or supports as needed. Second is regularly review the IEP and note any changes. It means that you need to hold regular IEP meetings to document changes and ensure it aligns with the student evolving needs. Third is the IEP should be kept in the Ontario Student Records documentations file. It means that you need to keep the IEP in the Ontario Students Record for accessibility and future reference while ensuring confidentially. And the last one, you need to make plans for a transfer to a different school or for the move from elementary to secondary school. If the student is moving schools or progressing to secondary school, it ensures the IEP or individualized educational plan is shared and adjusted for the new environment. And that will be all to my discussion. Thank you.